And yeah, once again, thanks everyone for attending. Hello and welcome to SKU Ninja plus White Spider's webinar, Paid Search Strategies for the New Walmart.com. This presentation is being recorded and we will be sending out a link after it's complete so everyone can watch it over and over again. Just to remind you, please do, and you can submit questions at any time during the webinar using the Q&A button in your Zoom window at the bottom of the screen. You can ask questions at any time, please do, as soon as it comes to you, but we will answer all the questions in a Q&A section at the end. All right, now I'd like to introduce you to our presenter, our VP of Insights and Strategy here at SKU Ninja plus White Spider, Ryan Monaghan. Ryan's background is focused on analytics and guidance with 10 years of experience in the Walmart and Sam's Club supplier community. His roles have included category advisor, national account manager, and business analyst. And today he'll be talking to you about our strategies for paid search on the new Walmart.com. Thank you for joining us here today, Ryan, and everyone else. I'll hand it over to you and let you start presenting.
Thanks, David. Appreciate everybody attending today. Paid search is a really interesting piece of business for us. It's growing, and judging by the turnout on the webinar today, it's resonating in the supplier community as well, and people want to learn more about it. It's an element of advertising or investing with Walmart Connect that's been around for a while now, but I think not only are the tactics changing, the ability to measure the data is changing, and the landscape. I think more suppliers are investing in it. It's becoming more competitive, and therefore needs to be more focused, more dialed in. So as I said, it's something that we are absolutely paying attention to, monitoring in our business. The core of what we do is still organic optimization and content optimization. And as you'll see as we get into some of the slides here, that is still a really important part of selling on Walmart.com. But again, this provides a really interesting opportunity to have an immediate boost in your product search listings, and can also resonate with merchant teams at Walmart, as it's another way to show investment with Walmart Connect. So a lot has changed in the past year. What's new about the new omni-channel platform? For those maybe new to the Walmart world, you may be saying, what is the new Walmart omni-channel platform? Well, essentially on September 16th, the legacy.com and grocery sites were merged, and now there's one unified shopping experience where consumers can pick products that can either be shipped to their home or can be fulfilled through a ship from store method, or they can drive to the store themselves and get their grocery online pickup and delivery orders. So what's different about the search environment between now and March of 2020, when advertisers first got the chance to access these paid search campaigns through the grocery site, these manual paid search campaigns on the grocery site? The two sites combined into one, and really the implications of that here is they had two search grids to advertise on before, and now that there's one, there's simply half the real estate to sell promotions on, and there's no way that Walmart was going to settle for half the real estate and half the revenue. So with a new set of real estate, new set of square footage, the rules change. How did those rules change? There's more saturation of placements throughout the search grid. On the legacy.com site, we saw placements throughout the top 128 positions. On the legacy grocery site, we saw placements mostly concentrated in positions 1 and 2 at the top of page 1, obviously, and then positions 1 and 2 at the top of page 2, which equated to essentially the 60th and 61st positions overall. And today, we see the vast majority of search grids having sponsored positions in 1 and 2. There are very few queries that you type in where those top 2 positions that you see are not sponsored and not being invested in paid search from a supplier. And then as we look through the first page, now there are 40 items per page as opposed to 60 overall on the legacy sites. The overall rule is there can be 2 out of every 10 placements, but no more than 2 of those placements per every 10. So again, just concentration of these sponsored promotional placements throughout the search grid and less organic placements overall. So the fundamental question you need to ask yourself as an advertiser is, where is my product now? And how much am I willing to spend and invest in paid search to get it higher? And that's really where we can help. The knowledge of where your product would be without sponsorship, i.e. its organic placement, is really key to understanding the strategy behind paid search advertising. And that's our core competency. Our software is built on the ability to measure and manage the search grid organically on a day-to-day basis. And that organic placement is so key and crucial to understanding where you should be investing in paid search. The conversation around where it could be and how much it costs to place it there is what determines the efficiency of your campaigns. So this highlights some of the key questions you should be considering, starting with how is paid search different from traditional mass media advertising? And how is it different from paid search advertising on other retailer sites? Huge differences between Walmart and Amazon, as two of the key omni-channel players or e-commerce players in most suppliers' portfolios. And the way that those two retailers take these investments and then turn them into promotions essentially on the site varies greatly. So as David mentioned, I'm not a trained marketer. My background's in analytics. But what makes me and our company an expert in this area is that paid search is less about audience creation and targeting and more about how can I promote my item for the lowest cost and the most incremental benefit. So it really is a numbers game. How do I get the most benefit while maximizing the benefit while minimizing the investment? It's essentially, but continuing to invest in those highly efficient areas, but doing it in a way that makes sense. So how is paid search unique on Walmart.com? Essentially, you're marketing to the entire cross section of the U.S. as that is who is searching the search grid. If you're a tomato sauce manufacturer, you're marketing to everyone who searches the keyword tomato sauce, which is, like I said, pretty much a cross section of the American retail consumer. Where we can have influence is to lend perspective on whether tomato sauce, pasta sauce, or spaghetti sauce is the most valuable target for your dollars that are going to search optimization. Those three things I mentioned are different ways to search, to enter different words to enter in the search box that lead to the discovery of that same type of product. Different dialects and areas of the country are going to call it different things. But that's a key element of what we provide, what our software provides really. It is giving you a prioritization of those three keywords and understanding the volume and therefore the priority of those keywords is really step one in understanding how you should spend your investment to target those paid placements. While I said, paid search is more about analytics and advertising, it's still about how the reach that you can generate. How can you, again, effectively place your items in the positions where the most people are going to see them, and then ultimately convert. We'll get to that conversion here in a minute, but this first step is targeting those placements that your category, your products, and your competitors' products are being seen by shoppers, and then evaluating what the impact can be based on the reach that is possible. So the first exercise really in determining where your investment dollars can be spent best is determining where your portfolio sits organically. While the top 128 positions, organic positions, are the threshold for even being eligible to spend your investment with paid search, your organic rank within that top 128 determines how effective your paid search can be. Unlike other retailers, you can't promote an item from organic position 128 all the way to the top of the search grid. I'm sure some of you have had that frustration where you launch a new product and you finally optimize it to the point where it's in position 128 or greater, but then you're executing paid placements in the 90s or the 80s or the 70s. While all improvements are good, that's not the goal. So there needs to be further organic optimization of the product in order to allow it to access the top of the search grid. And again, determining where your products are kind of narrows that scope of, okay, what parts of my portfolio are in that zone where they can access the top of the search grid, and then paid search is at its most effective. So it's critical that you remove all the barriers to organic search optimization before determining where your investment dollars are best allocated. Again, that is a core competency here, and that's why our ad services and our organic optimization services really do work well hand in hand. So in short, the most important thing to get across here, you need to create both efficient and impactful campaigns. So it's important that you're efficient in your spend in order to be impactful in your placements. Efficiency means that you're not wasting money on advertising products that would have sold without the investment. That's a key tenet here is would my item have sold without the ad being placed? And then the other half of that impact means you're reinvesting those dollars that you're saving by being efficient into placements that unseat your competition from those first positions in the search grid. And they're ultimately converting shoppers on your items instead. Our ability to measure that search grid allows us to define the impact to the shopper in ways that traditional advertisers can't. We're very complimentary to the partners that we work with in this space that are measuring the traditional metrics of spend and budget and ROAS. But what they don't offer is the ability to say, what placement did we gain by spending that budget? And therefore creating a new definition of incrementality of the item was at position A, we moved it to position B, and then obviously continuing to measure the spend in sales that occur from that. But again, our software's ability to measure the search grid on a daily basis and now an hourly basis in order to determine are there certain parts of the day where your competition or your campaigns are running out of daily budget. That's the data part of that is so incredibly important to making sure the strategy is on point. Okay, so that brings us to the metric by which all campaigns are ultimately judged, which is ROAS or return on ad spend. And what this measures by definition is, did the click that you paid for turn into a sale at some time within the attribution window? Attribution windows can be 3, 14, or 30 days, or kind of those common time increments. And what that's saying is when somebody clicked on your product from the search grid in the next 3, 14, or 30 days, did they buy it somewhere? Often it's attributed to in-store sales, which is great that we can connect those things. But in my opinion, it's a bit of a stretch to say somebody clicked on an item on the website and then 14 days later bought it with the same credit card linked to their account in store. But on the other hand, we do want to make sure that we are giving a little more than 1 day attribution windows, because if somebody's doing product research and they add your item to the cart via a paid search click, within the next 3 or even up to 14 days, if they ultimately converted on that item, we want to make sure that we're getting credit for that. Okay, the definition again, did that click that you paid for turn into a sale within the attribution window? What it doesn't measure is, would the product have sold without the ad? That's the definition of incrementality. Incrementality is one of the hardest things to measure or align on in the analytics world. But ROAS is definitely not saying, what is the impact or the incremental benefit of paying for that item? So ROAS is often used by sales organizations to measure performance across multiple retailers or customers using different platforms. And it's useful because it's homogeneous, but it's simply not the best measure of incrementality. And that's what sales and marketing people are constantly being judged on is, did you not just cannibalize your own portfolio? Did you not just switch your shoppers from one product to the other, but did you deliver incrementality? Did you add to your base and drive with incrementality? So an example of why this measurement doesn't capture true incrementality is illustrated in shopper intent when they're entering branded or non-branded keywords in the search box. So for example, if a shopper is searching for Prego pasta sauce, getting back to the pasta sauce example, they're going to get an entire page of that brand's products, Prego from top to bottom on page 1. And if there are sponsored products in those first 2 positions of the query, Prego sponsoring within the Prego query, then clicks on those items are going to generate spend and ROAS if they're purchased. But obviously, if these clicks and spend turned into sales, they weren't incremental sales because the shopper declared their intent to purchase Prego before the search results were even generated. When they were typing that brand name into the search box, they were predetermined that they were going to buy Prego, and the Walmart algorithm gives overwhelming preference to brands winning their own brand names. So these clicks and sales and conversions that are attributed to those sponsored placements within the Prego keyword is artificially inflated ROAS, and it's not measuring incremental sales. So if I wanted to deliver really, really high ROAS numbers on a paid search campaign, I would concentrate my ads on branded keywords. But that's what I'm here to tell you to not do, to find a different strategy, find different tactics to make sure that, again, you're being efficient and you're being impactful, but at the end of the day, you're generating incremental sales. So conversely, if the shopper searches pasta sauce and they haven't predetermined a brand, they may get 2 to 3 Prego items in the first couple rows of search results, and there's competitors' items mixed in, and often there's competitors' products in those first and second sponsored positions. So those placements where your competitors are paying to be at the top of the search grid are generally going to be more expensive because the minimum click amount or the minimum bid amount has already been surpassed. So you're going to need to outbid your competition to get to those spots. So if I'm Prego, I'm investing more in this keyword of pasta sauce than I am. I can often win my own branded keywords with the minimum bid amount. But that's the definition of incrementality: is substituting the competition's products with your products, and adding to that basket and delivering greater sales. But that deflates ROAS, exactly what I said there, of outbidding your competition from the first and second positions in a non-branded query is by definition going to deflate your ROAS. The ads are more expensive and the clicks aren't guaranteed to convert. Pasta sauce might not be the best example here. Maybe a makeup product or a fashion product would be a better example here of, if you unseat your competition in that spot one, people may click on your item, and then they may compare it to another item, and they may ultimately buy an item from your portfolio. But what we're doing here with these targeted sponsorships of high volume non-branded keywords is driving impressions and ultimately conversion. But what we're doing is making sure that your competition doesn't win them, but your products are placed in those positions. I know a lot of clients we work with have a share of page 1 search results goal. And this is a great way to do that, to find those items that would be organically on page 2 and to promote them to the top of page 1. Again, vast majority of shoppers don't scroll to page 2, so you're driving an impact to the shopper, which is, again, what we're measuring through our software that is pointed at the search grid every day. Okay, so to get even more targeted here, if we're paying to place an item at the top of the Alfredo sauce keyword, it better be an Alfredo sauce item. And that's where controlling your auto bid campaigns, it becomes more important. Auto bids, it's an easy way to get started with paid search, and they generally look good on the surface because they're easy to maintain. They drive scale and spend, which if you're getting hyper targeted, sometimes the spending your entire budget is tough to do, but there's ways to add more targeted campaigns to drive that spend. But these auto bid campaigns are simply bidding on the easiest positions and buying those easiest positions. So that equates to really high ROAS. But as you give up control of the individual item keyword placements, you get inefficient, non-incremental spend. What AutoBid is not doing is it's not evaluating the organic placement of the item and ensuring that there's a good delta between the organic placement and the sponsored placement that you're paying to attain. So the goal here is, again, show products to the consumer that they would not have seen otherwise, and then get targeted in those placements to make sure that you're advertising Alfredo sauce on Alfredo sauce keywords and not vice versa. So similar to the brands, again, you want to obviously make sure your brands are in your branded keywords, but you want to match up those flavors and attributes and product types to the keyword that the consumers are searching for. That requires an additional level of control that, quite honestly, I see a lot of suppliers not willing to wrestle away from the algorithms and the softwares and the automations that are built to make this a little bit easier. So AutoBid has traditionally offered some benefits. Most importantly, access to the placements outside of the search grid. So currently those placements that I'm talking about include buy box and carousel ads. Those are placements outside of the grid of search results that you get when you search a keyword. but they're incremental placements. Buy boxes are literally an ad right underneath that buy box on the PDP. And then there's several carousels as you scroll down the page. Customers also considered, or look at these other items type carousels. So auto bids can offer some benefit, some access to those. For example, on the legacy grocery site, we primarily used auto bid to target the stock up page. Which was a page that shoppers interacted with right before they got to checkout. That was a curated, an algorithmically curated set of products that the shoppers had either previously purchased or previously interacted with. And when that option for place, and that was wildly successful for us, but when the sites merged, that option went away, and we largely stopped using AutoBid. So that trend will continue of us not really relying on AutoBid will continue. As these buy box, the buy box and carousel placements that we were previously targeting are now available through manual campaigns. And again, those manual campaigns are what allow you greater control on where your items and keywords are serving, and what keywords your items are serving on. So the new omni-channel site is constantly rolling out new features. Again, the stock up page was awesome, but it went away. And we know the new site is not its finished version, right? There's new features coming out every day. For example, thinking about that stock up feature, I kind of saw it re-manifest itself on the new site, where now when you add an item to the cart, there's a right-hand pane that pops out that shows the items in your cart. Yesterday, I got another carousel on that pane that said, hey, based on the item that you just made an intent to purchase, you should consider these kind of complementary products. Now, right now, there's no sponsored advertisement placements in that pane, but I sure expect that to come pretty soon. So in summary, talked a lot about the mechanics, the strategy. I'd encourage every one of you suppliers to think of paid search in the same way you would consider in-store promotions, right? We're always equating e-commerce practices to brick and mortar, kind of tried and true fundamentals. So one thing that, working at suppliers, we always had was a promotional calendar. We encourage every one of you to make a paid search promotional calendar. When are you going to promote your core? When are you going to find those items that live on page 2 organically, and you want to increase that spend to ensure that they're on page 1? I would recommend flexing your ad spend during key seasonal moments, or when you're supporting new innovation. New items generally whether they're this year's product innovation or whether it's a seasonally relevant product that has no history, these don't launch very high up organically in the search grid. So there's other options other than in-grid paid search to invest with Walmart Connect and drive incremental placements. One of them that they just recently rolled out is search brand amplifiers. These are essentially banner ads that appear before the first row of the search grid on a keyword, and we can create campaigns for them in the same systems that we use to manage in-grid paid search. These should be carefully targeted as well, really carefully considered. And depending on the goals for your product. So for example, are you trying to upsell users of your current brand with a new pack? You launched a better technology, and in that case, you want to advertise on your own brands with these SBAs to say, hey, I used to search for Prego tomato sauce, and now I've got Prego tomato sauce with sausage and peppers. In all these, or another opportunity to kind of cross-sell or have cross-category placements is then obviously to target keywords in your category, but have different kind of uses. A good example there would be promoting a new allergy medicine item in the Kleenex category, or with the nasal spray category. Again, those concomitant purchases that build baskets and again, drive incrementality. So in all these situations, incrementality should be your first consideration. And you should always be asking yourself, did this ad give my product a better chance of selling? It's a very simple question, but as you can tell, the answer can be complex, but ultimately we're here to help, and we look forward to working with each one of you. So at this point, we're going to start to take a look at some of the tools in SKU Ninja that can help you with this. We'll start with our share of voice and our kind of get found subscription level. Share of voice is one of the things I'm most proud to roll out to the supplier community. It really identifies what these most impactful, important placements are through a proprietary weighting that we've developed to assign points to every position in the search grid. We all know that spot 10 is better than, excuse me, spot 1 is better than spot 10, but by how much? And we've tried to put a share metric to that all suppliers know and love. We'll also kind of walk through some of the Dojo tools. Our Watchtower product gets really granular on a trend over time of an item keyword basis. And Ad Sensei is our product that encompasses all of this. I'm lucky to lead a team of 7 individuals now who are all versed in these strategies and these tactics and these measurements and the creation of these stories that create the ability to invest in these type of products. So Ad Sensei is the product that we sell that kind of wraps this all together and is a full service consulting tool and product for paid search advertisement. So at this point, I am going to switch my screen here. And we're going to jump into share voice. So some of you may have attended the webinar where I walked through this product in detail. I'm not going to go that deep today. I want to leave time for questions and interaction. But just to kind of clear the tool real quick, we're in our Newman's Own demo account here, and we're looking at the pasta sauce insight category. It's a manufacturer that has multiple different categories. So therefore, we need to define and create separate insight categories for all of the keywords that lead to the discovery of those different types of products. So as we're on pasta sauce here, we're populating the current top keywords for this insight category. And this is that tomato sauce versus pasta sauce versus spaghetti sauce insight that I talked about when we were covering the PowerPoint slides. Again, all three, I guess any one of us could have guessed that any one of those 3 keywords were going to be somewhere near the top or at the top of the prioritized keyword list. But again, we create a real nice weighting system here to say, in this case, pasta sauce is 89.8% as valuable as tomato sauce. So trying to assign some numeric values there. Some summary information here as we see our clients' share of voice here. Newman's Own, great company, but doesn't have a dominant market share in the pasta sauce category, comparing to your top competitor's voice. And then this is really where we're going to focus for this topic of conversation here. The query's total organic, pinned, and paid. We can discuss pins at another point, but essentially that's a merchant placed item that appears organic to the consumer. But the paid search obviously is what we're here to talk about today. And every one of those positions have a sponsored designation on them. So we can see how the brands track for share of voice over time. But what I want to show you down here is this paid and organic breakout, either on a single day as we select a time period on the graph. And we see that in this case, our friends at Prego, we're getting 4.3% of their share of voice from paid placements. So actually what you want to see here is a very large gap between paid and organic, because if you're doing it correctly, if you're following our recommendations, if you weren't sponsoring that item, it would have a very similar share of voice in its organic placement. You want to take items with very, very low organic share of voice and bring them to the top of the search grid, therefore creating much higher value share of voice points with that paid search item. So again, want to see, especially in smaller portfolios, a big gap between organic and paid, especially as you either cycle campaigns. One of the things that a tactic that we recommend is occasionally pausing campaigns, one, to more clearly identify those organic positions of where the item would be if it weren't being paid. But two, if you pause your campaigns for a day, that budget automatically gets rolled over to the next day. And then it's really interesting to see what you can do in a single day with double the budget. So two really interesting tactics there that we can talk about. So that is primarily how paid search falls into share of voice. The next thing I wanted to show you is our Watchtower products, right? This is where we get granular on an item keyword basis to say, where is my item organically? Where is it getting paid to? Now, our friends at Newman's Own aren't investing in paid search right now, but if they were, you would see dollar signs at some of these daily intersections or daily points on this keyword graph. And that's where it kind of starts to hit home of, okay, I was paid at number one for 5, 7, 10 consecutive days. On the 11th day, I lost the bid. Obviously, you need to maintain that campaign on a daily basis to ensure you're getting that placement. But if on the 11th day you lost the bid, you can really see that drop off of paid to organic position. Again, if you're doing it correctly, if you're really targeting the items in your portfolio correctly, you should see a big drop off. That's the definition of the incrementality we've talked so much about. But this product can really help you assess that. Conversely, if your item's clicking along at number 90, and then you invest in a paid search campaign and you only get to spot 85, that's also kind of visually will hit you over the head in this tool. And there's opportunities then to reevaluate that campaign, ensure that you're promoting the right items, that you're bidding the right amount on the right items, and you're targeting the right keywords. And just the last tool I'll look at today is the Search Scorecard, which is more of a scorecarding version of the trended Watchtower report that we talked about. This is part of our elite subscription. And again, if there were paid placements from this brand, you would see dollar signs on some of these placements. So what we're looking at today is your current rank, your 14-day average, 14-day best, and 14-day worst to kind of see some trends over time here. But again, you can identify this quickly to say if your current rank, your 14-day average, essentially for the past 2 weeks, you've been paid at number 3, it's time to kind of reevaluate that to ensure that the item would not organically be at spot 4, and you're simply paying to place it in spot 3. In that case, we would target another item in that campaign and leave that item number 4 organically, and then focus that paid search investment on an item that stands to benefit, have a higher delta between its organic and paid position.
Thank you, everybody, for attending again and for submitting your questions. I think we had a great Q&A section this time with a lot of great, very specific questions. And I think we were able to give out some very specific advice for all that as well. I think this might have been mentioned in our poll. We do host monthly webinars. We're working on the next one, so we hope to see you at the next webinar. If you had a good time at this one, be on the lookout for those invites. Again, thank you, Ryan, for sharing your insights. And I think that will do it for us for the webinar today.